Coming up on Network Africa, Botswana's new president inaugurated as sixth president of the country in Gaborone. Post-election violence continues in Mozambique as citizens dispute October's election. Plus, amidst the war in Sudan, the federal government rolls out malaria vaccines for children. Hello and welcome to the program. Today I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Botswana, where new President Duma Boko's inauguration ceremony has taken place. He was inaugurated as the sixth president in the capital Gaborone in front of thousands of citizens and other African leaders that were in attendance. Mr. Boko, a lawyer, defeated the sitting President Mugweti Masisi to take the helm of affairs of the country. His victory ends the Botswana Democratic Party, BDP's nearly 6 decades of rule. Mr. Boko's party, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, will form the next government that is to rule. In his inaugural address, President Boko said Botswana had become an instructive case study of how democracy should be. Meanwhile, the new president says he wants undocumented Zimbabweans to be legalized in the country, and in doing this, is granting them temporary work and residence permits. According to Mr. Boko, they're doing jobs that would otherwise not get done. Botswana hosts the world's second largest community of Zimbabweans fleeing their country's economic woes, and they are often resented with deportations taking place daily. The decision is not likely to be popular in the diamond-rich southern African nation, but President Boko says it's part of his plan to revive the economy. Joining us now from neighboring South Africa is our correspondent, Innocent Samosa, for more on today's ceremony. Hello, Innocent. Thank you for your time. Well, let's begin with how today's ceremony played out. We see a beautiful color of blue, the country's color, and African leaders in attendance, thousands happy that Duma Boko is their new president. I think I need you to unmute your mic, Innocent. Okay, apologies for that. We'll try and reconnect with Innocent, but we're still in Southern Africa. Post-election violence continues in Mozambique as anger mounts after the election authorities said Frelimo party won the October vote, extending its 49-year rule. There have been clashes between opposition supporters and the police in the capital, Maputo. On Thursday, police fired tear gas at protesters in the biggest demonstration yet against the long-ruling party, which was declared the winner of the disputed elections. Human rights groups say at least 18 people have been killed in the police crackdown on protests since then. The general election was hotly contested, with many young people supporting independent presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane, who said the vote was rigged and called for a week of protests culminating on Thursday. Civil society groups and Western observers also said the election was unfair and the results were altered. Well, Innocent Samosa is back with us now. Good to have you back, Innocent. I was asking about today's ceremony in Gaborone.
Indeed, Layo, a very good evening to you and our viewers around the world. It's always good to talk to you. But let's firstly congratulate the people of Botswana for how they handled this election. Indeed, it was a beautiful day for the people of Botswana, with dignitaries, of course, including South Africa's former, or should I say, Deputy President Paul Mashatile was representing South Africa, with the opposition also represented by Julius Malema. So it was really a cordial event. It was a beautiful event with a lot of blue. I mean, again, we congratulate the people of Botswana for how they really conducted this election. Layo.
Indeed, Innocent. But could you tell us a bit more about, the person of President Boko, what he stands for that will be beneficial to the country?
Well, what he stands for, Layo, because it's his first term, it's a question of how he's going to perform. That's how we're going to judge him, because politicians, they tend to make promises because it's in their nature. So he'll be tested because this is it's his first term. However, he does come across as someone who is a Pan-Africanist, and I'm saying this because of the unpopular stance that he just took now, as you rightly indicated in your intro, that he wants to give thousands of Zimbabweans temporary permits so that they can continue staying in Botswana. As you indicated, that Botswana house a large population of Zimbabweans who are fleeing the economic hardships in Zimbabwe. So those people are, in a way, going to contribute massively to the economy of Botswana. These are professionals. We're talking about teachers. We're talking about lawyers. We're talking about nurses who are contributing in Botswana. So he's of a view that these people are contributing to the economy. This is human capital, for a lack of a better term. So I guess he's a Pan-Africanist. He's coming across as a Pan-Africanist, trying to really make sure that we don't just sidelines Africans, but let's find a way to coexist together. But other than that, Layo, we do know that he's a lawyer. He's an advocate. He's been practicing for some time, and he has been the leader of Umbrella for Democratic Change since 2014 until 2019. Of course, he has managed to garner this smaller political parties to rally behind him. But of course, he indeed said that he was not expecting this. In fact, even the former president now was saying, former President Mokgweetsi Masisi, he said that, you know what, I didn't even pack a shoe because I was not expecting the outcomes of the elections. But again, congratulations to the people of Botswana. Layo.
Indeed, congratulations to them. And I assume, regional neighbors are happy with Duma Boko in power. Have we heard anything from, President Ramaphosa, for example? Even though we've seen the Zimbabwean president was at that ceremony, you also mentioned the representative from South Africa there. So other Southern African countries, are they happy that, this is a new leader that they will be working with?
Yeah, indeed. I think there's a lot of mixed reactions because they don't know what kind of a leader. Because what we need in the SADC region, more than anything, it's the stability of the region. And what I'm seeing right now, with how the transition, the power transition in Botswana, it was very seamless, smooth, for lack of a better term, because even during the elections, Duma Boko said that the president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, called him to say that, Boko, it looks like you're doing well, and if you win this election, I will gladly concede. And this is during the voting period, and that tells you, the kind of leaders that are in Botswana. But also, we're just hoping that the caliber of Duma Boko will bring stability in the region, and that many people, because of his profession as a legal profession, they feel that perhaps you'll be able to uphold the rule of law, because there are many, there's mixed reactions. There's the general narrative on the ground that the former government, the BDP's, manifestos were not really citizen-centered. So they feel that they were a bit arrogant. They were not, doing what they were supposed to do for the citizens. So in a way, a part of that is that what they want to see is the stability of the region and making sure that we do contribute to the greater part of the African continent. Layo.
Thank you so much, Innocent Samosa, our correspondent in Johannesburg. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleague.
As the war in Sudan continues, the Federal Ministry of Health has rolled out malaria vaccines for the first time in the country to bolster efforts to protect children from the deadly disease. Now, this is in partnership with the UN Children's Fund, that's UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and also a Gavi Vaccine Alliance. The launch follows the arrival of the first consignment of 186,000 doses of the malaria vaccines to Sudan back in October, and the vaccinations are taking place in health facilities in 15 localities, and that's in the Gedaref and the Blue Nile states, and is going to be benefiting over 148,000 children under the age of 12 months. In the year 2025 and 2026, the vaccine is expected to be introduced in 129 localities across Sudan. In the meantime, a mobile kitchen has been established in Sudan's Kassala state, and it's to serve displaced Sudanese fleeing the violence that has engulfed the El Gareza state and other regions caused by war. The Kolena Kiyam Foundation Kitchen moves from place to place, following displaced communities wherever they may be. The United Nations says some 135,000 people have been displaced, largely to Kassala and Gedaref, and also the River Nile states, which are already packed with many of the more than 11 million internally displaced by the devastating war. The war has unleashed hunger across the country, erasing most signs of a functioning state in the RSF-held areas and prompted fears of fragmentation. Although El Gareza state has been subject to a violent looting campaign since the RSF took control in December, the defection of its chief in the state unleashed a series of revenge attacks. We're here in West Africa now. In Cameroon, at least 4 people have died and over 50 others are missing in the western region of the country. And this is after 3 passenger buses and several road workers were caught in a landslide. Officials say torrential rains weakened the soil, and this led to the deadly incident. Cameroon's Minister of Public Work, Emmanuel Ngangu, had visited the site of the disaster. It's a stretch of a highway linking Nshang in the western region of Cameroon and the country's economic capital of Douala. Dozens of others are said to still be buried under the debris. The Minister of Public Works has blamed the torrential rain and that caused the landslide on climate change. Let's take a break now on the program. Still to come, Prince William wraps up his 4-day visit to South Africa, a trip dedicated to the battle against climate change. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. Nigeria is facing a desperate challenge of funding for domestic gas projects, despite having over 20 trillion cubic feet of proven gas resources and targeting compressed natural gas as its transition. This is according to the Executive Upstream Vice President of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Orisemeiwa Eyesan. Eyesan, alongside the federal government, is participating at the 40th anniversary of the Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference, focused on the impact of artificial intelligence on the oil and gas sector, as well as decarbonization. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
I think we see
the 40th anniversary of the largest oil and gas energy summit, ADIPEC, with over 180,000 participants, is holding in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. The theme for this year's edition is Connecting Minds, Transforming Energy, and it aims to advance discussions around decarbonization and artificial intelligence. Nigeria's delegation has a message for the advocates of decarbonization.
This is not the first time that an attempt has been made at gas commercialization. But what is happening this time around is that application of consistent focus. And one major enabler is the aspect that you touched on, which is the funding. So there are many aspects to it. You have the Midstream Infrastructure Fund that has been set up. You have the Presidential CNG Limited and Presidential CNG Initiative, which is appropriately funded. But the most important aspect for us is what NMPC is doing, but more importantly, what the private sector is doing.
There is also a drive to attract funding into the gas value chain as government sees gas as Nigeria's transition fuel.
We are not at the same level. Some started decades ago, and we are just on that journey. And again, if you look at the impact of the emissions, we are only contributing 3% compared to other clients. So why measure us in the same way? And to that extent, we've campaigned for financing, because today you will agree with me that oil and gas, oil in particular, is vilified in the financing world.
Well, the greatest challenge of Nigeria is being able to balance its drive for decarbonization and the fact that it wants to tackle energy poverty. How it does that will define its success in the next 1 year. From Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, Dili Omoyeni, for Channels Television News.
Well, leaders and stakeholders flocked to Cape Town early this week for the Africa Energy Week 2024 to explore the continent's energy future and sustainable development. Crowds of executives and investors engaged in critical discussions on the latest innovations and strategies for the African energy industry through an interactive conference and networking event. The 2024 edition of the AEW kicked off on Monday and is ending today, Friday.
Instead of localizing it. Yeah,
so you can see that normally we can see.
So you've already heard about the
Britain's Prince William has wrapped up his 4-day visit to South Africa, visiting a fishing community in Cape Town. Prince William shook hands with crowds during a visit to Kalk Bay Harbour, where he met local fishermen who told him about their sustainable fishing methods. The trip was climate-focused, planned around his multi-million-dollar environmental prize, the Earthshot Prize. The prize was launched in 2020 and it aims to find innovations to combat the world's biggest environmental problems. On Wednesday, 5 winners were awarded £1 million each to drive their projects. At the fishing community in Kalk Bay, a small group of about 3 anti-monarchy protesters, outnumbered by well-wishers, shouted to the prince, "Not your country." One even held aloft a placard reading, "William, you have no sovereignty in our country." And earlier on, before visiting the fishing community in Kalk Bay, Prince William said he had been drenched by a large wave on a boat trip from meeting with lifesavers from South Africa's National Sea Rescue Institute. The UK's Prince William rode on a sea rescue boat along the part of the southern African coast. The National Sea Rescue Institute CEO, Mike Vonk, showed Prince William around the Station 10 and that was at the Simons Town, and also its main operations room. That's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarini. Have a lovely weekend.